Smile Foundation is an NGO. It's a charity that's been going on for decades.
My daughter saw the advert for Smile Foundation on the TV. After the operation, it is going to change my daughter's life. So ngazwanezwa ndikoliwa SABC Foundation. It means a lot to me.
All right. The Smile Foundation is an NGO that assists children who suffer from treatable facial difficulties, such as your cleft lips, palates, bends, and other conditions. So they assist them to actually receive a reconstructive surgery. The SABC has now partnered with them to make sure that they get as much publicity as they can. We joined in our studios here to discuss all of this by Iris Kipita, who is the CEO of the SABC Foundation, as well as Hedley Lewis, who is the Executive Director from Smile Foundation. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for putting that smile on our face this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Hedley, just take us back a little. I know that the foundation was started 17 years back, but how did it come about?
So I think that it's an incredible message. It was really one man, one child, and one mommy that needed help. That man was the late Nelson Mandela in his presidency. The child was Thando Mnyati and her mommy, who approached Madiba and begged Madiba really for that assistance. The assistance was to help Thando with a facial paralysis surgical need. And Madiba called Mr. Lubner, who's our executive chairman, to say, Mr. Lubner, please help. Unfortunately, South Africa didn't have the skills at the time. And what is more amazing is that Madiba believed that every child had the opportunity and the need to have the support of his government. So the three gentlemen partnered with Prof. George Saris, who was the head of plastics and reconstructive surgery at the Wits Medical School, united in order to assist and bring out the surgical team from America who did the very first surgery on Thando Mnyati. Madiba had the chance to read Thando a bedtime story. The Smile Foundation obviously was born, but just as important is the skills was transferred from the United States to South Africa.
Yeah, and 17 years down the line, Iris, the SABC now decides to partner with them in terms of providing publicity for them, which is a good deed in terms of your corporate social investment projects, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're here. We're here to provide support to NGOs like the Smile Foundation that need it so desperately. And it was such a perfect fit for us. I mean, the work they do is life-changing. You know, the work they do gives young children a future and a chance, and allows them to fit into society without being stigmatized. So it was a perfect and a natural fit for us. So we've spent the last year giving them a lot of publicity. We've done some public service announcements, and we make all our platforms available to them, whether it's TV or radio, platforms like you, like Morning Live.
And what challenges do you usually come across, Hedley? Because we do know that in some cultures, children who are born deformed, parents would consider that, you know, as being a curse, being bewitched, and they usually keep them away from the society.
So the biggest challenge that we face is actually to get to the child, to get to the families, because obviously, as you said, the stigmas, the myths, they are debilitating for these families. The families feel, well, maybe they've done something wrong. The communities shun them because they don't want to be seen as the light of having a child that is not normal. I can tell you that in Bloemfontein we had a child, and when I asked her, what is the one thing that you want after the surgery? What did she say to me? She just wants to be normal.
Oh, no.
And I think that as parents, I think that you have to look back and say, well, how can we help? And the awareness is the key area. When we look at this partnership between the SABC and ourselves, as the Smile Foundation, we don't have huge budgets to be able to spend on TV commercials and PSAs. But here we're seeing an organization that's heart is really being held on their shoulders, where they're stepping up and saying that we want you to get to the masses, because if you succeed, then government can do their job. And that's really a key message of really to assisting and say to the parents, you can be the hero in your child's life. You can step up and make a difference.
But are you succeeding in terms of getting the message through? You were in Bloemfontein last weekend. You managed to see about how many? 11 children.
Absolutely. So last week we had a Smile Week in Bloemfontein, which was proudly sponsored by Vodacom.
Amazing.
11 children had the opportunity to have this life-changing surgery. And it's not us that does the surgeries. We support, obviously, the national departments of health, the local departments and the theatres. But the surgeons then have that opportunity to change their child's life. And that is the important area.
All right. But for parents who are watching and would want to come forward, how do they go about getting in touch with you, the SABC as well as the Smile Foundation?
So it's very easy. Either 0861A Smile to dial, go to our website, smilefoundation.co.za, or go to any of our social media sites in order to do those referrals.
But you've also mentioned one important aspect of finances, that you're not necessarily well off in terms of finances. Maybe there are people who are also watching who would want to contribute to the fund.
Certainly other corporates, particularly, and other foundations.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
absolutely, I mean, just like Vodacom supported last week, the more support, the more corporates that step up, the more that we can partner with the departments of plastics and reconstructive surgeries in order to supply the likes of accommodation, transport, surgical, other needs, possibly the likes of the auxiliary services, the psychological supports, the occupational therapists and speech therapists. It's a multidisciplined approach that we work together with the departments of health and their plastics and reconstructive surgeries to change these children's lives.
We'll leave it at that, but thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
having
much.
us.
Very much indeed. There you have it. That's Iris Cupida, who's the CEO of the SABC Foundation. Of course, the SABC doing a great job there, and as well as Hetley Lewis from Smile Foundation. He's the executive director. So if you want to get in touch with them, the details are on your screen right now, 0861 276 453, or go to their website, www.smilefoundation.co.za. You'll get more information. We're taking a break, and Morning Live continues after this.
Drawing its goodness from the rich African soil, Fresh Pack Rooibos is full of essential minerals, antioxidants, and is naturally caffeine-free. It's the best choice for the whole